Greetings everyone and welcome to day 394 on our daily updates. Here in Mexicali, Mexico, but I'm repping the Ukrainian t-shirt and the Ukrainian military stuff. Today's update's going to be special. I'm working on it throughout the day. Very busy here in Mexicali. Probably tomorrow and Sunday and Monday may not be able to do updates just due to my schedule here, but we'll see. For sure, today on 394, we have to give the update. I want to begin by this. Down here in Mexicali, beautiful weather. And the first thing I notice, I'm walking here, going to get a cup of coffee, and look at the blue and yellow. I do not think they realize it, but they're definitely repping the Ukrainian colors there, so we're thankful for that. First thing I want to talk about tonight is something that's dear to my heart, and that is Kostyantynivka. Today, Kostyantynivka was hit. Absolute terrorist attack. Missiles rained down on the point of invincibility. We now are at 5 people killed, and it's very, very sad. Places that you would think are safe, I've shown you many of those many times, but 5 people have lost their lives in the city of Kostyantynivka. And yes, Zhenya and I, come that way a little bit, Zhenya and I have been there in that point of invincibility many times. Wonderful people there, people that we would consider to be our friends that are manning that station. But today, terrorist missiles rained down on Kostyantynivka, and we've lost 5 civilians, 5 people. Just a very tragic day there in eastern Ukraine. The second thing, before I look at some other current events that are happening today for the daily report today, is this. Here in Mexico, you think we're in the middle of just a place that would be disconnected. I'm way over on the west coast, down on the Baja here in Mexico, picking up my daughter who's learning Spanish. And I'm already meeting people, talking to people, and they know about our work in Ukraine. They know about our updates. They know that I've spent a lot of time in Ukraine. And even here, it makes me happy because they're asking me, how is Ukraine? How is the war going on there? What can we do to help people? And we'll let that muchacho go on by there. But it's just a wonderful thought because I've been in many places, even throughout the United States and Europe, where they could care less about Ukrainians. So I want just to give a big thank you to the people of Mexico because they actually care. They're aware of what's going on. Of course, they're disconnected. They don't know how to help, but they care. So here, even, of course, you can see I was in snow and ice, and here you have palm trees and beauty. But people here in this region care about Ukraine. And if nothing else, they're sending their love. So for all of our guys there in Ukraine, in the war zone, those in Europe that are helping every day, you all over the world that are helping, there are people here that care about what we're doing and what is happening in Ukraine. So a big thank you to Mexico. Now later in the day here in Mexico, and quite a few things have unfolded today on the news front for the daily update. And I want to jump in and give those to you now on this Friday. The first thing I have to report is we have to do a recant on last night. I was speaking with Zhenya about this, and we're both frustrated and aggravated. But the news that I shared with you last night, Novakhovka, today, Ukrainian General Staff came out and said, sorry, all that news that we reported yesterday is all wrong. Russian forces have not left Novakhovka. We got our information wrong. We are mistaken. They have not withdrawn. They are fully there. Nothing has changed. We're sorry. But coming out over top of that, they said there will be a day in the future when we destroy them and push them out. But the news we shared last night, wrong. So sorry, folks. We always double check everything. That was directly from Kyiv, directly from the General Staff. If you jump up from Novakhovka, you come up to Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. And we need to talk about Zaporozhye nuclear power plant right now. The IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, has been trying to establish a 1.5 kilometer safety zone around the nuclear power plant, working and communicating with both sides, Russian invaders and the Ukrainians there, which would be on the other side of the river. Unfortunately, today, they said it's not going to happen. There is nothing we can do. We're not going to be able to establish a safety zone around the nuclear power plant. As this war goes on further and further, of course, that becomes a valid target, an accident. Anything can happen there, and we know that Russia has loaded in Tons of military equipment, supplies, and soldiers there in Energodar in the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. Additionally, let's jump over to Poland. Poland today says we have now established 107 kilometers of a border wall with Kaliningrad. Of course, that would be Russia. And 107 kilometers of that border wall are now built. Of course, here we try not to talk about politics, especially here in the United States, because we're focused on the war in Ukraine and world events. But that quick, 107 kilometers of a border wall have been built. Today, not only UN, not only NATO, but including those that would be on the other side, Russia, China, many came out today and says, we're sorry, but it looks like we are heading for another Cold War, another nuclear race, another buildup of arms, instead of going the other way in the world. Unfortunately, it seems now we're going to have a race again between the East and the West. Of course, we know that. I want to jump down to Germany. Germany supplying supplies today. It came out and was made public, and thankful. But the front lines of this war are huge. The amount of soldiers, the amount of technical equipment, the amount of armaments are unbelievable. It's World War II-like. And today, everyone is raving that Germany has delivered some supplies. But what did they supply? They supplied 70 MG3 machine guns. You're seeing a picture of that right now. Well, thank you. They supplied 30 drone detectors. Great. But we're talking a drop in the bucket. It's nothing. They supplied 3 repair stations that are portable, and they are supplying spare parts for the Leopard tanks. Great. But folks, it's nothing. It is absolutely nothing in the big scheme of things. Now, I got some other notes here. I told you last night that the push, the aggressive push from Russia has moved down from Bakhmut down toward Avdiivka. But today we've learned some other information on that. Yes, that is the truth, Avdiivka being smashed. Bakhmut continues to be smashed. Please do not misunderstand it. But Russia has changed their strategy over Bakhmut. Now the soldiers and the push down in Avdiivka to seal off that city on the outside of Donetsk there, but in Bakhmut, how are they maintaining the pressure? Through drone warfare. Drones are flying over Bakhmut non-stop. I can even show you this picture right now. This was a picture taken tonight of Bakhmut. Came from a soldier. We got a hold of it, and it just shows you Bakhmut is burning. I want to share with you now a couple of last things for the update tonight. I want to talk about children and evacuation of children. Talk specifically about the eastern zone. Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Marinka, all these cities that are there in the heat of the battle. And I know it's difficult, and we've tried to share the truth about people evacuating and getting out of harm's way, but it's much easier said than done. I can tell you this, that evacuations tonight, as reported by Ukraine, of all children from Ugledar, from Velika Novosilka, and from Chasiv Yar. This is actually the place that President Zelensky was at just a couple of days ago, and I couldn't tell you exactly where he was at, but that's where he was. He was in Chasiv Yar. All children from those villages have been evacuated, but I can tell you tonight, as of today, the count of children that are still in Bakhmut is 32. 32 children are still in Bakhmut, along with 4,500 civilians still in Bakhmut. Just think back to that picture I just showed you of the city burning. As well, there are 24 children still left in Avdiivka. These are real numbers counted by Ukraine. These are the people that are still sitting in harm's way. With that said, I want to drop in this video now. Take a peek at this. This is from Ukraine, showing the children being evacuated there in these cities. Just tragic there when you think about children and you think about civilians. And I know many people in the world get angry and say, why don't you just leave? Why are you at this point in this level and you're still there? And it's a valid question. It really is a valid question, but it's very difficult to answer. It is not simple. And I know you may say, well, just get in a car and leave. They don't have a car. They can't even fill their tank. Families there. It's just very challenging, but thankful that some of the children are getting out. Now, want to jump over for the last thing tonight to Dmitry Medvedev. Medvedev, of course, the former president of Russia. He's the one that changed with Vladimir Putin, and he is also there still. Front line. Folks, if something was to happen to Vladimir Putin, there's so much speculation about his health, and Medvedev came back into the presidency. He's probably even worse than Vladimir Putin. And I know that's hard to think and to believe, but it's the truth. If Vladimir Putin, something happens to him, unless the war is won and defeat comes, there are more waiting in the wings to come and take his position. So, with that said, one of them being Dmitry Medvedev. Today he was meeting with Russian military leaders and the security. And a very interesting what he said. You're talking about a mentality of the Soviet Union. You're talking about a World War II mentality of dictatorship and pure evil that reigned in onto the Soviet Union the days after World War II. He today quotes a telegram from Joseph Stalin talking about what would happen if they do not support the war back home in the factories, on the back lines, supporting their soldiers and supporting their military. Tonight I have that for you, and I'm going to share it with you right now. Take a peek at this. Here's Medvedev comparing this war in Ukraine to the World War II with Stalin. He says, quote, I cannot but draw your attention to the way this work was assessed in a similar situation during the Great Patriotic War. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read to you guys a telegram. Quote, I ask you to carry out the orders for the supply of tank shells to the Chelyabinsk tractor plant honestly and do it on time. Now I am asking and hoping that you will fulfill your duty to the fatherland. After a few days, if you prove to be violators of your duty to your fatherland, I will start smashing you as criminals who have disregarded the honor and interest of your fatherland. It is unacceptable that our troops are suffering on the front lines from the lack of tanks while you are in the distant rear lazing and loafing. Joseph Stalin. Wow, quite interesting there. Hope you guys enjoying the voiceover. Everybody said we really like the voiceovers. It's so much easier than just reading the subtitles, especially when you're just trying to listen to these updates and podcasts. So there you have it, folks. That's the update for today. Madness reigning. And Medvedev, quite the character, quoting Joseph Stalin there in the update. Folks, that's it for today. We thank you. We thank you for being here. We thank you for continuing to share, tell the truth, donate, give, do all those things that are part of our job to help tell the truth and also support those in Ukraine. With that, we wish you a blessed evening. I'm going to do my best to get an update out tomorrow, even if it would be smaller Sunday and Monday. But to be quite honest, my days are going to get extremely busy now for Saturday and Sunday. I am actually speaking down here, not only picking up my daughter, and then Monday is a full travel day as we'll be returning back to the United States, and long travel day, long flights, and I'll be getting home very late. But we shall see. For those of you in Patreon, of course, you'll be getting things, and I just encourage you folks, jump in the Patreon and join it. $5. And it's not that you're paying for something, you're actually paying to get these translations and subtitles and another way to bless people in Ukraine and help them. But there I post every day, even things ahead of the streams or personal things to keep you updated. And it's just a really cool little community in there, and it's growing. So thank you for that. And of course, everywhere else, we appreciate all that you do. And tonight, we wish you a good night. Be blessed, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.